This is big breaking news. The National Guard and the Trump administration, the White House, are now getting ready for major civil unrest across the country. They are also preparing for potential CBRN attacks, chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear events potentially happening inside the United States as well too. So let's get into all the details here. You guys can see this is what's going on. These documents have been released by this journalist Anthony Cabasas, and we will get into more details of that in just a second. There's also Democrats in California challenging ICE and Homeland Security and threatening to even arrest ICE law enforcement. All right. And we also have as well more riots and chaos inside of Portland, Oregon. We are now seeing the quote protesters slash rioters responding with their own flash bang grenades and their own smoke pellets. All right, so they have been throwing stuff back at the police. We will get into all that in just a second. But you can see here it says the Trump administration to create the nation's first ever National Guard Response Force to begin training troops for nationwide civil unrest, with some troops specializing in chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear scenarios. That's the CBRN training. Troops must be operational by April 1st, 2026 per the memo, all right? And these documents were just released, but this actually was discussed a few months ago as well too. You can see here, this is from August 12th from the Washington Post. It says Pentagon plan would create a quote military reaction force for civil unrest. So it says the Post reviewed these documents saying that they are getting ready for this, and I think that these are the documents we are now seeing. All right, you can see here it says memorandum for all states, territories, and the District of Columbia. It says requirement: states will train, equip, and make the National Guard Response Forces operational by April 1st, 2026. They're required in all 53 states and territories. The District of Columbia has a unique solution set directed by the Secretary of War. The National Guard Response Forces will train in civil disturbances operations and prepare to deploy approximately 25% of the force in 8 hours, 50% of the force in 12 hours, and the full response requirement in 24 hours. Okay? This is big, and they're saying that they're getting ready for civil unrest. It says that each National Guard Response Force will be manned using a tiered approach capped at 500 personnel. The requirement will not exceed 10% of the state or territory's authorized end strength. The National Guard Bureau will field each state with crowd control equipment for half of the directed National Guard Response Force, up to 250 sets. They're also authorizing each state and territory full-time equivalent support to ensure unit readiness and training proficiency. Attachment 1 details directed manned requirements and additional authorizations, all right? And you can see here are some training details. It says all states will be authorized an additional 5 training days with which to ensure the National Guard Response Force meets the new standards. TAGs will be responsible for maintaining a small cadre of trainers to ensure initial and sustainment training required to ensure operational readiness. The Army Interagency Training and Education Center through the NGB Combating Weapons of Mass Destruction Division is available for scheduling and conducts train the trainer courses for level 1 and 2 requirements. States must use inter-service non-lethal individual weapons instructors. All right, so they're saying that training is available for combating weapons of mass destruction, right? That division is available to train, and they're going to train 500 personnel under this, and each state. All right, you can see here it says the course trained instructors to obtain level 2 proficiency. Attachment 2 provides the civil disturbance training instructions. It says here level 1 training based crowd management techniques, de-escalation of force techniques, handheld radio communication, domestic civil disturbance training, control force formation movements, proper use of baton and body shields, graduated response techniques, employment of non-lethal weapons like tasers and pepper spray. It says the defense readiness reporting system strategic remains the primary tool for reporting readiness. All states, territories, and the District of Columbia are required to provide monthly readiness reports on personnel, training, and equipment no later than the 20th of each month. All right, so this is a brand new program that they are creating for the National Guard. Okay, and this is big because Trump is talking about implementing the Insurrection Act. And if these states do not cooperate, which it looks like they aren't, he actually just got authorization from a federal appeals court to deploy the National Guard to Portland, Oregon, okay, because that's been blocked the past month or two since he's been trying to deploy it from these different federal district courts and judges, and a appeals court just overturned that ruling and authorized it. So the National Guard should be deployed there very soon, and I think they are doing this training behind the scenes so they can deploy them to even more states, all right, and be ready in case there's any type of civil disturbances, there's any type of terror event, right, of quote weapons of mass destruction, combating weapons of mass destruction. That's the team that the National Guard is going to be trained under. It's a federal government training team, and they are going to be equipped with these skill sets just in case anything happens, because they are worried there could be domestic violence, there could be domestic terror incidences, or there could even be a foreign incident as well too. All right, and we're looking into the possibilities of things like even dirty bombs going off, okay? Because the U.S. southern border was open for 4 years, and there were multiple reports, I made multiple videos on it, of Border Patrol agents and Border Patrol insiders worried and warning that missiles are slipping across the border, okay? Handheld grenade launchers are slipping across the border. RPGs are slipping across the border. All these different high-powered artillery and weaponry has been snuck across the border, especially the last 4 years, because they intercepted some of it, okay? I made reports when they would intercept some of these weapon systems, and they were warning that this is just a small percentage of it, okay, that they are catching and finding. So who knows what's actually in the country, and there's a lot of different groups that are agitating right now, okay? So the rhetoric's increasing, the intensity of the protests are increasing, the riots are increasing. Look at this protest in Portland, okay? It's like some people are protesting, but then it starts becoming like this, and it turns to rioting, all right? And these are not police smoke grenades or police flashbang grenades. These are from the quote protesters, rioters. They're throwing them at the police as they're trying to clear the area and clear the road. You can see here, this was posted by Nick Sorter. He said Antifa rioters throw exploding munitions and tear gas at DHS agents who are attempting to clear the driveway in front of ICE Portland. Don't let the left lie to you. Quote, this is a war zone and we need the National Guard now. Okay, so this is the scene of Portland. And this is when things are like relatively okay. You know, the economy's not in the best shape. Inflation's not great. But that's a lot of that is due to the past 4 or 5 years, honestly. And it's going to take a while for these things to recover. But what happens when things are really serious? Okay, when there's like food shortages, when the EBT benefits run out, okay? People are hungry, when there's a bank run or a banking collapse. We've seen multiple banks collapse over the past few years. Not major ones, mostly regional banks. But it's a warning sign, okay? What happens when a national bank collapses? Also, a war, okay? We could see some type of war breakout, or something could happen domestically as well too. All right, so just be prepared, be ready, be stocked up. The National Guard is getting prepared for these things. They're getting ready, and you should be getting ready too. You can see here as well, this is a report from local California news saying how officials are going to fight back against DHS and ICE, and some of them are even saying now that they're going to arrest ICE agents in places like San Francisco, potentially. All right, let's listen to this really quick.
At a Florida press conference, the U.S. Secretary of Homeland Security doubled down on the National Guard presence in Chicago and Portland and indicated San Francisco is next, following comments from President Trump on Fox News Sunday.
We're going to make it great. We're going to make it great. It'll be great. Again, San Francisco is a great city. It won't be great if it keeps going like this. We're going to go to San Francisco. The difference is I think they want us in San Francisco.
Attorney General Rob Bonta responded to those threats, saying, "We're ready to be in court in hours, if not minutes, if the National Guard is deployed to San Francisco."
And I saw that the district attorney in San Francisco indicated that if these ICE agents violate the law in San Francisco, as they have in Chicago, she intends to prosecute them, and she should.
There is no lawful basis to deploy the National Guard to San Francisco. Period. Full stop. End of story. So what can we do? We'll see him in court, as we always have. When he wrongfully and unlawfully deployed troops to L.A., we saw him in court. We got 2 orders, blocking, one, the federalization, and 2, the actions on the ground that violated the Posse Comitatus Act. We'll do that again. Immediately. We're ready. We see this coming.
Big talk, no timetable yet on when the National Guard could show up. Would it be days, weeks? We don't know. As you heard, the state of California says it's ready. And within the past half hour, San Francisco Mayor Daniel Lurie released an updated statement about this intensifying timeline, saying he trusts local officials to handle crime. And when it comes to the challenges of fentanyl, Lurie says we would welcome stronger coordination with the FBI, DEA, ATF, and U.S. Attorney to execute targeted operations, arrest drug dealers, and disrupt drug markets and multinational cartels. But he continues, I am deeply grateful to the members of our military for their service to our country, but the National Guard does not have the authority to arrest drug dealers, and sending them to San Francisco will do nothing to get fentanyl off the streets or make our city safer. Reporting from the newsroom, Leslie Brinkley, ABC 7 News.
All right, so you heard that there. San Francisco mayor was kind of trying to have it both ways. You know, he's saying he doesn't want the National Guard there, but they should be arresting these drug dealers and criminals and things like that. But it's his city. His police force needs to be the one to do it then. All right, it's like they want to blame the federal government for it happening, but then also say the federal government is not allowed to do anything to stop it. And the DA there brought up the Posse Comitatus Act, and it says that civilian law enforcement is not supposed to work in coordination with the U.S. military domestically inside the U.S., but that's why the National Guard exists. Is the National Guard is technically not the military. It's technically a domestic civilian force. People in it are technically civilians, and it's not the military technically, so that's why Trump has a lot of leeway to send the National Guard into places. And the National Guard has never made arrest. At least from what I've seen, they're never like making arrests. That's normally left to federal law enforcement or local law enforcement. They are normally there for, it's honestly 75% optics, and then 25% things like crowd control, riot control, pushing people back, clearing out areas, clearing zones, de-escalating, blocking off areas, okay, shutting things down. They're not really in the business of arresting people. That doesn't really happen. I don't know if it's ever happened. Maybe it's happened before, but they normally just, operate through force mostly. Kind of a silent force, not really a active force like law enforcement, like ICE's or DHS agents are. All right, so they would most likely be the ones making the arrest, DHS or ICE agents, which they would have jurisdiction and authority for. I'm not really sure what they're saying they're going to arrest them for. I mean, they have court orders and removal orders for most of the people that they are arresting. Okay, so I'm not sure how that will hold up. They're going to saber rattle and say they're going to fight back because they have to. That's their position politically, but I don't think it's going to have any teeth, honestly. A federal appeals court just ruled yesterday, I believe, that, or maybe even this morning, get my days mixed together, that Trump has the authority to deploy the National Guard to Portland, Oregon. Okay, and the Insurrection Act has been withheld dozens of times, or has been held up dozens of times, and almost half of the presidents have used it. Okay, dozens of them have used the Insurrection Act. Okay, so something to just be aware of and to be prepared for, all right? Because it seems like things are escalating, the tensions are rising, and in response, we could see more of these riots and more of this stuff spread to other cities. So just be prepared, be ready, be stocked up. I hope you guys have big blessings for your life and your family, and I hope you have a big old blessed day.